welcome back to the AT Customs video. Today we'll be looking at my Gundam over here, the 1/60 scale non-grade strike, which I converted to the Duel Gundam Assault Shroud armor. Okay, of course I'm going to convert this whole entire kit into the Assault Shroud, so I'm doing face by face. So today we'll be talking about the skirt and then the legs over here. Okay, so let's get started. Today we'll be working on the leg over here. This is actually the part that I previously screwed up, and my kit actually dropped down from around 5 feet tall, what's it called? A 5 feet tall table, and then it broke apart, and luckily most of the parts still intact. And then some of the parts that I wanted to rebuild, like this part over here, actually just broke off. So this is actually how the part looks like after it's broken off. And previously I haven't showed you guys. Basically what I do is that I trim out the part over here, the side part here. I made it more smooth and more squarish compared to the old one. The old one is actually very curved, right? And then also I trim out the back over here to make it looks like two separate pieces. Okay, and now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to make it like this. How that actually I draw this is actually I use a ruler and measure out the length of this thing, and then from there I just draw on top of this paper and get this shape over here. And basically what have I done is that I make it slightly longer because that there is going to be a curved slightly a curved surface over here, so it should be shorter. So let me just here 1, 2, and 3. So this is basically slightly longer than this, which I think is going to be better than shorter, I guess. Alright, so let's just start building and see how it goes. Okay, so first off, most importantly, you need to have a blade with you, and better off using a ruler. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to just trim this thing down. I was angry before, but I circled the drain in my mind. What I'm going to do is that we're going to just take a flat blade and try to make this shape out. Okay, so after you guys done with cutting out part, get out a what is called sandpaper. Most importantly is a flat one. All we're gonna do is just sand out the part side of it to make it smooth as possible. This floor kit, I actually bought it online, so it's not really that hard. Which is why I'm quite surprised that when I'm using the scriber, it's actually pretty hard to scribe because the plastic is slightly softer than usual. So I basically just use a blade and just cut it through. Just go through it several times, then it will eventually go through. Okay. Always remember, try to keep this piece intact, do not cut through this. Then you can use this as a template for other parts. Okay, so basically most of the details are already up here. What I'm going to do is that I'm going to just use a sandpaper, just slightly sand it out. Do not use too much strength. Right, it's just to get off the rough edges, and then use a lighter sandpaper and just go on top of this to make it smoother than it is, so when you clean you can't see the scratch marks. Of course, currently it will look better, but once you prime it you'll be able to see any defects, and from there you just fix once it's primed, right? So that's about it. So this is the first part done. So I'm going to skip ahead and make the second piece. Alright? So here is actually how it looks like before I send it for painting. So I'm going to just make primer on top of it, and then I'll just set it down, and yeah, we'll just see how it looks like. So basically what I do is that this part over here is detachable, right? So all I'm gonna do, I'm gonna use a blue sticky tag, stick it there, and then just slide this thing on top of this, because this part over here is supposed to be a different color than the bottom part. So which is why I better make it removable. And also why I make it removable is so that I can remove this gray part over here, right? So if let's say I were to just glue this everything together in one piece, I think it will look way cooler than now. But then again, it will be hard for me to paint this part separately, especially all the piston details and stuff is inside. So it's better for me to just paint this separately and then attach it and assemble it later on. So if you guys want to see, this is actually the difference of the legs. If you see from the front, it is actually slimmer but sharper, right? If you see from the side, yes, it is slightly longer. Of course, it looks weird without this front part. Yep. So this is how the kit looks like with the front part. So the design is basically I got inspiration from the master grade that I have lying around here, a stripe freedom, a stripe master grade. So I just follow the design cues and then just scribe in some panel lines to it. Before primering, somehow the panel lines looks a little bit off, so I'm not really sure how it looks like after prime. So let's just start priming and see the end result. I can't find, don't let the sun go down. Okay guys, so basically here is my leg, which I've already completed scratch building for the left and the right leg. Basically there's a few more details. Example is for this one I haven't put here yet, but other than that everything is already here. Even the scribe, all these details I already added in. But some of my friends actually commented that the back part here is a bit too much, so I'm considering to remove some of the details later on when it's complete. Okay, so this is basically how the leg works. I mean the leg looks. So what that I do is basically this part over here is removable, right? So currently it's just held in by the sticky tag, which I put in front here. Let me just remove this. Okay, so this is basically how it removed. So if I want to paint, I need to put my finger into a gap inside here and then pull out this one over here so that I can paint this thing separately than the upper body, right? And this one I basically is just going to be sticking in with the sticky tag, as you can see over here, right? So what I'm going to do is very easy, just slot it in here like this and then put it down. So the details are pretty simple, nothing fancy I would say, but you can see there is like a few vent details in front here. Okay, so next part of the video I'm going to do the side leg armor, the big one, which is the most problematic one. I will just do it tomorrow morning. Now it's really late, it's coming to midnight, so I'll just continue it tomorrow. Okay guys, so as you guys can see, I'm actually missing my front skirt over here, which is currently blank. The reason why I did not put the front skirt on is mainly because it's actually broken, and I'm also planning to redesign it and redo it from scratch like I did for the leg, because I don't like the design. And it's broken mainly because I dropped my kit from around 5 feet tall rack. So fortunately the things that broke is basically the skirt and also the legs, the old version of the legs, which I plan to redesign, and also some part of the gun on the left, but which is very minor damage, which I already repaired. So yeah, so basically that is why my kit currently is skirtless. Okay, so I will just design the side panel here first, and then the front panel here. Then after it's done, I will go to the skirt. Okay, so see you tomorrow on the leg part. Okay guys, so now I'm gonna move on to the next step, which is the hardest step, which is this one over here. This is basically on the side of the legs over here, this part here. My main concern currently is actually this bulge over here. These other parts I think I may able to easily do, but I think this part over here, because there's a curve to it, so I think maybe I might need to work with putty over here. Okay, so I think just let's get started cutting out the template which I've drawn over here. Okay, so for here, I think all of these thrusters, I will leave it out because I think it's a separate part. Alright, no, I think these two parts are, I can leave it out, but this part I need to combine it together. Okay, so basically I've cut out the paper. So what I'm going to do now is get my kit over here. Okay, so I brought my kit over here. So this is the template that I've cut. So what I'm going to do is that I'll just put it here and roughly see the size of it. If you think everything is fine, then we will start building this. And as you guys can see, I think it is perfect. I think this should do the trick. So what I'm going to do now is going to cut out a plate of this size over here. But one more concern that I have is because this thing over here is bulging up. So if let's say I were to put this here, you can see there is this huge bulge or a huge gap from the body armor. So I want this thing to be at least like this, slightly flushed. You can still see a bit of this, but not the whole thing. So I'm thinking, why don't I just use a sandpaper and just sand this part down as make it thinner, and then once this plate is cut, I'm just going to stick this on top of this panel over here, and then this panel over here will be the one that holding up this whole entire thing to the body itself. Okay, so that's basically my plan, and I think we just start doing it. Okay guys, so here I've already cut out the plate according to this shape over here. And now, most importantly, I need to think of how should I start this process. So I'm actually looking at this right here. So I'm actually thinking, why don't I start from lowest part to the higher part. So as you can see, the lowest part is over here. I've already done the bottom part. So what I'm going to do now is actually this part over here. So from there, I can gauge how tall I want everything to be. But then again, I don't know how thick should I put this part. So I actually have this leftover part from my perfect grade frame. So this is going to be my gauge, and also since this shape over here is actually quite similar to this part over here, so most probably I'll be using this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue it up here. So I'm going to just align the line over here to these lines over here, which should be pretty simple. I'm just going to put glue. Okay, Okay, so I've basically placed this way, and I'm going to just let it dry before I come back here and do some touch up. So any other parts later on, I'll just add in like maybe some filler or something just to even it out. But from this, I'll be able to use it as a guideline how tall I want the part to be. Okay, so I'm gonna do the other one too. Okay, so now I'm gonna do is just wait, put this to the side, and then now I'm gonna start cutting out this part over here. So my plan is I'm gonna just do this part. Let's just cut it out. Basically, this is actually how the part look like. Is 3 layers and another 3 layers over here, right? So it's an L shape. So just wait it to dry. So since you already scribed a line over here, which is around half of the thickness of this plastic, so basically now what you can do is that you can bend this plastic downwards. Do not break it. Just be very careful and let it be around this thick. Okay, so what you're going to do is that you need to glue this part down here, and then another part up here, and another part in the middle here. Okay, so what we're going to do is that test fit it first, make sure everything is fine, and then what we're going to do is add in some glue over here, over here, right? And the rest of it will be over here, the edge of this red part, and then this part over here. Okay. So what we're gonna do is align up this straight part to this straight part down here. And then the top part. Okay, so basically what I do is hold it down like this. Make sure the red part and this middle part over here is glued down. So wait until the glue is dry, and that's about it. Okay guys, so the other one is actually drying, so this is basically how the part is supposed to look like. Okay, so as you can see from the side over here, it is actually curved downwards, right? And then over here is actually flat again. So if you can see from this side, the top part is actually flat, flush with the bottom part over here. Okay, so this is basically what we want, right? And then this part over here, the slant of this part over here is the same as this red part over here. So yeah, I think it looks great. And then all of these holes over here, I'm actually considering if I should just use putty or what else can I put. But I think I just use putty for the big ones, and then I'm gonna use the super glue and baby powder for the smaller parts, right? So I think it will be easier that way, and the putty could actually hold the part even stronger, so that when I sand it down it won't break. Okay, so that is one thing. And then this back over here, since it's all straight and is same height, I guess, so since it's just like boxy surface, I'm just going to use a pla plate to cover this part up. Okay, and then this part extra here, I will also use putty to build up those parts. and then for the middle part I'm just leave it for tomorrow and I'll think of something. Okay, I'm gonna experiment something that I don't even know if it works, but I'm just gonna share it to you guys. Okay. Okay guys, so now I'll just show you guys what have I done so far. Basically what I've done is that I made this vent thing over here, which is just by following the template that I've made previously. Just cut it out and then layer it out like this, do some trimming and adjusting, and then you can able to make vents like this. Currently it's just hold down by a green sticky tape, right? So that's about it. And then I've also made this one over here is like a bench, also using the template, because as you can see from the normal thing here, there's actually a flat panel all the way from the top of the vent all the way till this orange vent here. So this is basically the flat panel, and I've actually made a arrow over here to indicate the bottom part of the thing, so that I didn't make it upside down, right? So if I were to put it here, it should line up perfectly. Okay, so a little bit gap is fine, you can use it as a details, but I think it's good enough, right? So the height of it, I basically just use a pla plate, cut out the height that I want, and then just glue it in. This two party is not necessary, I just put it in so that it's more stable, it doesn't wobble that much, because all the weight is at the bottom. Okay, so this part is basically done. Second part that I done out from the camera is that I did this vent thingy, this orange vent here, right? This orange vent here, basically I just cut out a couple of pla plates and then just line them up and then just glue them together. Once the glue is dry, I basically put in some putty to the side. Not really putty, I'm using a primer, what is this called? Resin and hardener. So it is something like a cement kind of thing. So all the putty, I put it all over the edges and the joints to make this tougher, and I'm going to leave it overnight, and tomorrow I'll be able to trim it down and make it smoother. Okay, so I already made two of this. So this is basically how it looks like. It's actually pretty rough, but it's fine. After I trim it up, it should look good. So of course you can just have a test fit. So put it something around here and something around here. As you can see, the length is about right. Okay, so basically what I need to do is just wait for this to dry, and then I can just lay it off. The next problem that I face is that the rounded part here, let me just set the focus. Okay, the rounded part over here is my biggest issue currently, so I do not know how I'm going to do it yet. So basically this is actually my plan, not sure if it works or not. So this is basically a very thin sheet of pla plate. It's almost like just a thin piece of cardboard. So what I did is that I used the template that I made, draw some lines, and then the edge over here I actually made it an extra budget, because when it curves down it should, take up some of the space. So I just allocate some space, and if it's just too long I can just trim them down later, so not an issue. Okay, so what I'm going to do is that I'm going to trim it out, and then tomorrow we'll just try to heat it up and let it see if gravity can just pull them down. So the thicker part here should be higher and the thinner part should go down. So that is actually basically my plan. Okay, so let's just start cutting. Okay, so this part is done. So what I'm going to do tomorrow is that I'm going to just glue this on top of this part over here, and then just put it in the heat, and let's see this thing just like deform downwards. Okay, so this is basically my plan. I think it's better for me to do 2 pieces, so I'm just going to just label this thing. Okay, so basically I have 2 A and B. So what I'm going to do basically is try out a few methods. First of my method that I plan is that since this is I'm in Malaysia, so the sun is very hot. I'm thinking, what if I would just leave this under the sun for a while, and it should be warped slightly. So this is actually one of my plan. Secondly, if it's not, maybe I will try a hair dryer. Try to just soften things up and make it curve. Thirdly, maybe an oven. Or fourth, what I do is maybe I will just cut in some slits and then I curve it in myself. Okay, so this is the third one, is the last choice. So I'm just going to try the first method first. Alright, see you tomorrow. Okay guys, so basically the 3 of my plans failed. So I did some research online and they say use a hot water. So basically I'm now dipping this plastic in hot water, and then maybe after 1 minute I will just take it out and bend it with my fingers, and let's just see the results. Okay guys, so basically the vents already I let it cure overnight, so it's supposed to be more stronger. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to just snip off the excess. So let's just set it down. There are some tips. So basically, if let's say you are sanding down like this, you're able to know that if you have already finished sanding or not. You just look at the middle part over here. If there is no scratches on it, it means that it have not been flushed yet. So just keep sanding. As for mine, this part is actually pretty brittle and weak. So that's why I'm taking a very slow. I mean, don't use strength when sanding. Just put it down and just slowly slide it around. Alright, do not use any pressure. If you use a lot of pressure, then it might break. So keep that in mind. Okay, so as you can see now from the camera, you can see there is a slightly scratching on the top part here, but bottom here is not scratched yet. So try to angle the sandpaper towards the side. Okay, so for now I already seen both sides of it actually scratched towards the middle, so I think this part is done. So I have to go through the other parts. But now the issue is that this part is juggling up way too much compared to the rest. So I'm thinking of just snipping this thing out. But then I didn't know what's the angle should I keep. So therefore I think I'll just leave this thing first. I'll just do it the end. Okay, so just smooth out the other parts first. Okay, so this is basically how the side profile should look like, which is straight and then curved downwards. Okay, so this is basically one vent done, and I'm going to do the other vent. Right, and before that, let me just take out the thing that I did yesterday, and then this is the part that I used the hot water to bend this. So currently it has this 3D feel, which is curved downwards like this. So it will be hold up by this bench over here. Should be here. Oops. Okay. Line it up inside, and you guys can push it up, or you can just leave it gap here is fine. You can see that it's actually not bad, right? Fitment. And then this vent over here is supposed to be like this. So if everything goes well, it should be almost complete, I would say. So what do you guys think? Is it nice? I think it looks quite good, but I think this one's supposed to be down slightly around here. So there's going to be a something here. I can add a detail to that part. Okay, but most importantly, now I need to blend in this thing to the bottom part. So I need to just trim it and make sure it fits to the bottom part. Okay guys, so basically this is how the kit looks like after I've done those parts, which is the skirt redesign and also these side thrusters over here. So I'm going to start talking about the skirt first. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to just talk about the skirt over here. What basically I done with the skirt. Okay, to remove the skirt, what I do is that this part over here, the crotch piece, you can actually just pull it out like so. Alright, so how do I do it? How do I make it able to slot in? Is mainly because of this piece over here, right? So I just make a long rod or pla plate angled this way, so it's easier for me to go into this hole over here. And I actually tried using this hole, and this hole it basically can go all the way to the back. So it's actually no matter how long this rod is, you can still use it. So that's how I do it. And then these two sides over here, I cut out some lines, some hole over here, so that the leg rod thing could actually pass through this, so it does not does not affect this fitment, right? So this one will go, and I actually sand the top here so that I'm able to put it under this piece over here. All right, so this piece, crush piece, is done. So this piece is 100% made from pla plate. There's no other kit bash stuff. Okay, it's pretty easy, nothing much. Just how do I make this pla plate hold up is basically I just make this one part first, and then I glue on the side piece. The side piece basically is hold on by all this. You see, look at this pla plate. There is this thicker pla plate for the walls, for here, and the bottom part. So those two are the main structure of this, and this is a smaller piece of pla plate, so basically it could flex slightly for me able to fit it in, right? So this one is done. Second one, this is actually the skirt. This is basically the third time I redesigned the skirt. The second time I designed the skirt, it's just way too big, right? Of course, this top part here also is way too big, because this top one is actually the size of my previous skirt. So I'm going to trim this down later on, right? So this is these two skirt armor here is basically linked to this part over here. Okay, and this part over here you could not pull it out, right? So I'm just going to show you about this skirt first. Let me just pull this thing out. Okay, how does this thing works? Let me just focus. Okay, currently it's still pretty rough. I have not sand it down yet, so I'm just test fitting it. There's a lot of fix that I need to do. Alright, so basically this is also 100% made from pla plate. It's pretty easy also, but it is the hardest part is actually to get the size right. So basically I go back to images, and I use the Photoshop and Illustrator to get the size correct, and then from that size I use it as a reference to make this piece over here, right? I do not want to remake any other front skirt. Okay, so this is basically it. And then how do I connect it? Basically I glue in 2 pieces of pla plate, these two, and then a rod piece in the middle. And as you can see, the rod is basically not even. It's basically because I put in some super glue to it to make it slightly thicker, and it's gonna be tighter, right? Same goes to the other side. Alright, how do I attach it to the skirt? Well, first of all, I need to remove the skirt. But of course, I remove the side skirt first. Alright, for the side skirt, basically, I didn't change anything much. Basically, this is the old positioning of the side skirt, which is higher up to the body. But currently, I make it downwards so that this is going to be slightly lower, lower from the top part of the body to make it closer to the front skirt over here, right? And then the back skirt over here, nothing changed. I'm still using the striped one, just that I changed the middle part. And then when I remove it, it is actually held by these two perfect grade frame thing. I think I actually showed this in a previous video. Okay, so just put it aside. Alright, to take out this middle piece, all I need to do is actually dismantle the top part of the Gundam, right? So I need to be very careful. Just twist it. Oops. Alright, so this is basically how it was held on. As you can see, there's a peg over here. This peg goes into this hole, right? And then this hole is slightly longer, is so that when I snap it down, I could pull it front and back, so that I can adjust the position of this front skirt over here, right? So let me just stick this thing back temporarily. Let's just focus on this. Alright, so this part is actually still a prototype. I'm going to just trim this later on, and maybe I'm going to angle it slightly more. I think it's not angled enough, right? But it's okay, fine. It's just a prototype. I can still modify it. And then this bottom part here, I make it with pla plate, right? So what I do is that I just use a square pla plate, and then I just cut out a hole over here, so that enable this front skirt, this rod thing over here could just enter it, and then it will hold it by friction. Okay, of course it will be more loose, but then it's easier for me to remove it and put it back, right? And of course it is longer, the length is actually bigger than this. I mean, it's smaller than this, so that when I put it inside, I can still move it like side to side, so that I can be able to position how I want the skirt to be, right? So this is basically the latest improvement that I've done to the skirt. I think it's going to be the last for now. I mean, aside from the thing that I said just now. Okay, now let's look at the bottom part of the legs. Okay, so the legs, this leg armor over here is actually one of the most stressful part of this build, mainly because there is curved surfaces. So I've actually shown you how I do make the curves. So finally done it. I didn't make a video when I'm gluing this on top, if not mistaken, but we'll just see later. Okay, and then how all these parts are stick onto this kit. Basically, this main piece over here is one single piece, and then the lighter part are actually separate pieces. For example, the vent over here, I could just pull it out, and it's held on by sticky tag, right? Very simple. Of course, when the end result, when after everything is painted and it's supposed to be there permanently, it will be super glued inside and it won't be moved anymore. Okay, and I put it separate is mainly because I want to be able to pin this separately. I do not want it to be together. So this is basically how it is. The inner part over here is actually from a spare part from the perfect grade Assault grade frame. So I use this as a base, as how thick do I want this part to be. And of course it's actually sink in slightly, mainly because I thought I want this kind of effect I'm not sure if it's nice or not, but I think I might extend this part slightly, right, to make it slightly bigger, right, because after I complete this whole entire thing and I somehow feel that it is too small for my liking. So I do not know, I think I just try to improve from this. I do not want to redo this whole entire piece. Okay, and then this vent over here, let's pull it out. Okay, so this vent over here is actually pretty simple. Just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So every single straight edge over here is a single pla plate, and then the vents over here I think could be made better, but yeah, that's how it is. I just use pla plate, how to say, cut it to small sizes, and then just gluing it on layered, and then once it's dry, just cut it out and stick it into here. Right, so maybe I might redo this. So currently how it is stick on, I actually basically super glue one of the sides to the body over here. Okay, it is not really strong, so I basically can just poke it and break it, and then I can just redo the inner part. And then how does this thing sticks to this part is basically I made a something over here. As you can see, there's a slot. This slot over here basically slot in between this part over here, so it is hold on by friction. Okay, so this part is there, and then this vent part over here is hold on by sticky tack. Because I think I was actually considering to how to say, drilling a hole, but I think it is too small, and I scared I might affect this rigidity of this part over here. So that's why I did not want to do it, so I just use sticky tack, and the final product will be super glued also. Okay, so both of these thrusters are basically there, and then this one over here, which is supposed to be orange color in the final product, is also separate. Did we just try to take it out? Oh, there is blue tag inside, no wonder. Okay, so basically how does this thing hold inside is basically by a friction, but for this leg it is slightly loose, so that's why I put a sticky tag in there, right? So this is how it looks like after I take it out. Very simple, just a vent detail in the back. Let me just focus. Okay, so basically what I did is that just a vent detail at the back, and then two of these rods in the front, and then a piece of pla plate in the bottom, which I cut according to the shape over here so that it fits in properly. So it's actually very simple. And then this whole entire structure is a single piece that I've stayed. So basically everything is made out from pla plate aside from this part over here. Other than that, is fully scratch built. And this blue and then this round part over here, I basically got it from the Strike Gundam. Actually, it's from this original kit, which is basically in the shoulder area. Okay, so let me just pan up the camera for a while. Alright, so as you can see from the shoulder over here, there is this circle part that I've cut it out. This circle part basically is the one that I use for the legs over there. So I just reuse the old parts that I'm not longer using anymore. Okay. Okay, then final part is that this whole entire piece is basically glued in with this leg armor over here. Okay, so how do I do it? Let me just remove this. Just be very gentle. Yup. So this is basically how I do it. I just super glue it to this part, but before I super glue, I need to sand it down first because this part basically is very rounded. So I need to remove at least 30% of the side of this thing to be able to glue it in. So if I were to see inside, you can see that it's basically, yeah, it's melted. So after I sand it down, position this and put a little bit of glue, position it, and then I let it stick, and then remove it, put in some glue from inside here to strengthen the bond, so that way it is stronger, right? So that is what I've done. Okay, let me just assemble this and then I talk about the final thoughts and what kind of modifications do I need to do later on. Okay guys, so I've basically assembled this Gundam bag again. So what I'm going to be telling you guys now is that this part over here I'm thinking of trying to extend it slightly. Maybe this part over here I'm going to extend it slightly till here, which are going to be continuing from here. The core part I won't be touching anymore, so this is what I'm going to do. Of course the front part over here has not been done yet, which is why it looks pretty empty in front. It's because there's supposed to be an armor from here all the way downwards. Alright, so all this part is going to be covered, and this gap over here should be covered also. This is what I'm thinking. So inside also there is going to be some details. So everything from here I think I'm quite happy. I just wish it's slightly bigger. And the back over here, as you can see, let's say if I were to look from this angle, I think it's fine. But if let's say if you look at this angle, you can actually see there is a huge gap inside here, right? So I'm thinking of maybe scratch building some part for the legs over here so that it's slightly thicker, and maybe like add some thrusters at the back over here to make it like bulkier slightly. It won't be like the original Assault Shroud, because the original Assault Shroud back is basically pretty simple and empty. But since there is a huge piece over here and this part over here seems to be very small, so I'm thinking of maybe I just make something simple inside here that have a big thruster. I'm thinking of something like the TR12 or something like that. I don't know what Gundam is that, right? So I know there is one of the Gundam, there is like a square piece of thruster at the back. So I'm thinking of doing something like this for this Gundam, right? And I have actually seen the original picture. I made a picture online as a reference, and this part over here is not supposed to be straight. It's actually supposed to go down and then come out, but I can't really do that. I don't have the skills to do that part. So I think this kind of design I think is good enough. So I think I'm just gonna keep it. Maybe I might extend this part slightly and add in more details later on. Here there's going to be more details later on, but for now this will be enough. Okay guys, so that's all for today. So thank you guys so much for watching. So please leave me down on the comments below what do you guys think about the custom that I made. I think my next video I'm going to just try to make something simple and short. Will be this front part over here, and if let's say I feel that the video is just way too short, I will add in the back one over here too. So I think that's going to be my next video. So it's going to be already 3 videos just talking about the legs, right? So yeah, it's pretty crazy because the legs is I would say the Assault Shroud's biggest changes, I would say, to the Strike Gundam. The chest part over here looks pretty how to say, intimidating, but actually it's pretty easy because there's a lot of straight parts and there is a base on the bottom of it. So I just have to add on armor on top of the existing body, which is for me is pretty easy. But for the legs over here, it's like completely scratch built, including these feet over here. These feet over here also I need to scratch build because the original feet looks hideous. So the feet over here, as you guys can see from the last video, I've already made about one side of the feet, but currently, as you can see over here, I've already done both sides of the feet. So which is why this video is taking longer than expected, because example, just the skirt over here takes me 3 days to complete the skirt. Same with this side panel over here, it's also around 3 days. But thanks to the MCO, I have more time to work on my kit. But once I start working, I will have very little time to work on this kit. So I'm trying my best to complete more, how to say, harder parts first. Okay, so that's all for today. Thank you guys so much for watching. See you guys again next time. Okay, please leave me a like and subscribe and tune in again. Okay, take care guys, see you.